Mr. Jennifer Fox. The cast.
So I'm going to kick it off with a question or two, and then we'll open it up to the audience, and I'll be repeating questions so that everybody can hear me. So Dan, first of all, I just wanted to know where the inspiration came from for the story, and also kind of how you balance the tones of the humor and the horror.
The story came, I was at a contemporary art museum toward closing with a lot of very sort of disturbing contemporary art, and I thought this would be a really interesting place for a thriller horror movie. And it's a vehicle, it became a vehicle for themes that are important to me. The idea that art is more than a commodity. The idea that artists invest their soul and their spirit into their work, and I think it's something that's getting lost a little bit these days. And that's how I came up with the idea.
And Jennifer, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about your collaboration, since you and Dan have worked together for a while. How has that evolved in this film?
When he told me about this film, I knew that it was going to be something more along the lines of Nightcrawler. And Dan has such a way of doing unconventional characters and such wholly original stories that really subvert expectations. So when I read it, I was blown away.
And for each of the cast members, I'm wondering, first of all, like what appealed to you about the story, and also what was your favorite character death?
You go. You go.
You go.
What was the question?
What appealed to you about the story? What was your favorite character death?
Mine. Yeah, the monkeys. Hell yeah, man. Woo! Nailed it.
I think everything was, like Jennifer just said, everything was appealing, I think, to all of us when we read the script. I think everyone had a very visceral reaction as soon as they, completed. Honestly, I had to take breaks when I read the script and make cups of tea and just go, oh my God. Okay, I can get back to this now. And I just think the whole art versus commerce turned into a thriller, supernatural extravaganza just makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I couldn't wait to be involved. And my favourite character death is I think monkeys, because I hadn't seen it, and that freaked me out.
What about Jake or Natalia?
I love Tony's death. I think that death's pretty fucking great. Also, just all that blood. And then I also just think the comment on that death ultimately in the end is just horrific in so many ways. And ultimately also hilarious. And so it is the sort of death in the piece that is, I think, kind of the microcosm of what Dan's trying to say with the whole piece. And so in that way, it's my favorite death.
And Natalia?
I think, yeah, Tony's death is definitely exciting by far. Yeah, I mean, they're all great. Monkeys is great.
My favourite death is Jake's death, because I kind of want to know what happened against that fence between the two. How did you die?
With pleasure.
At this point, I do want to open it up to the audience. See right here in the front?
I really enjoyed it. So my question is, I want to know more about the artist and what the artist is.
So the question was about the artist and what the art represented to you.
I'm really intrigued with the idea of artists doing art for art's sake. It's a cathartic experience all the time. Often I think it's not meant to be shown, and I'm very interested in the idea that this guy toiled for 40 years and created all this art and never wanted it to be shown. It was something he was working through his own personal demons, and it just was a great element to have injected into the world of people who didn't see it that way.
More questions? Yeah, right here. You. Yeah.
It's a bit of a two-part. One is, what kind of research did you do into the supernatural for this? Because the whole blood thing is really complicated. You loved it. And the second one is, what did the cast do into the mindset of, well, the art world?
So So the question was about research into the supernatural, and then the second part was about what the cast did to get into the mindset of the art world.
I didn't do any research into supernatural. I think we're all sort of in touch with the idea that there's something else out there, something beyond our perceived experience. And I just was kind of, look, we've all seen so many great thrillers and horror movies. I just felt it was a world that I really wanted to move into.
And in terms of the cast, with the mentality for the art world?
Yeah, I mean, again, Dan's script was the Bible for most of, I think, us as actors, and I personally was very interested to meet people in the art world, because I think it's a world that is more brutal than any of the industries I'm familiar with, like the acting industry, a bit the fashion industry, which is harsh, but it's nothing like the art world. And so I think it was just really interesting to meet people who are supposed to be extremely creative, but somehow have this very steely, enigmatic, sometimes challenging, complex way about them, because they also have to be money people a lot of the time. So it was good to meet people who embodied creativity and money and see how they walked and talked. And I'm still tripping after that movie. It's the first time I've seen it. I think the research was just to be a very weird person, but like generally it's myself.
Do we have any more? All the way in the back, if you want to project.
John Malkovich at the end is creating art at the beach, being erased by the ocean. I guess he's just being John Malkovich. What do you mean by that?
The question is about John Malkovich and the art that he's creating. What do you mean by that?
I worked for a year and a half on a debacle of a film called Superman Lives. It was so epic that they made a documentary about it. And that year and a half of work, my biggest fear is that they were going to pull the plug on it. And they did pull the plug on it. And I drove down to Santa Monica and I sat on the beach for a number of hours contemplating what had just happened. And I'm watching the waves. And I thought to myself, I could have written the words in the sand and the waves would have washed them away for all the meaning of what I just went through. And I sat for another couple hours and I decided it doesn't matter, that it was the creation that I did and the work that I put into it, what I gained and the growth, that was important. So that's why it's at the end of the movie.
See, he's not that fucked up. You know?
As far as you know.
I saw a hand over here. Yep.
Nightcrawler took place in Los Angeles, and now this one did as well. What is it about LA that inspires such dark themes?
So the question is, what is it about LA that inspires such dark things?
LA is not fully civilized. It's raw. It's got a wild quality about it that I really respond to. I love New York. I'm from New York. It's an utterly paved over, cemented over city that any element of sort of like terra firma craziness has been gone. But LA, with the ocean, the mountains, the wildfires, every element to me it's a beautiful place. It's a great place to look for locations. Great crew people come from LA but never get a chance to work there. So there's a lot of pluses to working in LA.
Anyone over there? Yeah, you start in the black.
Hi. So for a film that is really centered around like visuals and mostly visual art, I was wondering if you could talk a bit about your collaboration with Marco Beltrami and how you kind of envision the sound and the music working in tandem with that.
So
Well, I think
the question is about the collaboration with the music in the film.
The biggest thing that I loved about Marco was going up to his studio, and it's just filled with like broken pianos and weird electronics and all sorts of crazy instruments. He's a very creative guy, and he understood the challenge of this film is that it's a mixed genre film. And the currents are all over the place, where it's comedy, it's drama, it's thought, it's horror, it's thrills. And Marco really, I thought, dialed in the score and kept the tiller where it should be pointing, particularly in the opening, setting the table with the opening cue, which reprises on the Malkovich beach scene. I think encompasses a lot of that.
Yeah, over there.
So I was wondering, what was the process like for creating all of the art that ended up actually being featured in the film?
So the question was, what was the process like for creating all of the art that ended up featured in the film?
started almost a year before. I was working with our art advisor, David Hundley, who oversaw the creation of most of the art, if not all of it, and we created over 100 pieces of art. Creating the D's world was crucial. I think we did it. I think we created something that is credible as outsider art, and it was a lot of work to get the art where we wanted it to be.
I think we just had one all the way in the back. Yeah.
So my question is, how are we able to value art if we're not able to connect with other people? Because you were able to share this very visceral story with us, but what if you have kept it to yourself? How are we able to connect with this art? How do you define value in art if you're not able to share it with others?
So the question is about how do we find value in art if we're not able to connect it with others?
Look, I mean, I was very interested in this film exploring the relationship between commerce and art in today's world, and the relationship is a very rocky one. You can't judge a work by the number of views and the amount paid. Success does not diminish a work of art, but it doesn't define it either. And if art or a piece of art affects one person, it is relevant. If it affects 4 people, it's relevant. And to me, it's not the number of people that see it, it's not the amount of money that's paid for it. Art is a very personal experience between the artist and the person who's listening or viewing or experiencing it, and that to me is the most crucial part of the entire process.
So we only have time for one more question. I thought I saw another hand. Okay, also in the back. Yep. So the question was about working with the cast that he's also worked on other films and whether that's helped or not.
Good, Jake. What's it like?
I can't answer that question. I am your cast.
I'm announcing I'm only exclusively working with Jake Gyllenhaal now. Our next project is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You heard it from that's not true. It's great to work with people you've worked before. I look forward to working every one of them again. I've worked with Robert Ellsworth, our cinematographer, 3 times. My brother John, my editor, phenomenal collaboration. And Jen, 3 times. I like having a team. I think you're really lucky when you find a team of people that you trust and are creatively in tune with. And I think I found it.
And on that note, sorry. Please give him a huge round of applause.
Thank you.